There's nothing coming through yet. Usually they are. Let me turn that up a bit. Thanks. Usually they pop in really quickly. So just as we're waiting here for a moment, say that as you have questions, either in general or and questions, please, that might benefit a lot of different people, things other people might be facing, or questions about what the angels bring through, feel free to type that in the chat, and I'll put back on my glasses periodically to check that. This is Angel Raphael. Good. So in these times, there's quite a lot of fear in the air. Now, does fear produce tangible results? It does. So do you feed fear or do you feed love? And let's call these opposites for a moment. It's not quite the case, but love is a generative sort of quality to it. And here we don't mean love as an opposite to hate, as a sort of a preference, but love as a impulse towards embracing with great understanding, I am that, or you are beloved by me. So one of those two approaches, depending on how wide your view might be in the way that you love. Some people love quite widely, like all of humankind or all of their large family, and some people choose a few. So if you choose a few, you might conceive of this as you are my beloved. If you choose widely, it could be in the scope of I am. This is my community. This is my life with all these beautiful people and animals and trees sharing it. This is my humankind, that kind of thing. So you can choose your own words there. The particular words are not important. So love in this case is a forward moving, it's an embrace. Fear is a step back. Well, if I do this, something might happen. Or what if someone else does something, and then the mind can imagine or hook on to many different scenarios. Well, this might happen, that might happen, I might have this regret, there might be this pain or suffering or loss. If you go very wide into the human story, of course, there will be pain and suffering and loss. It's just part of cellular existence. You started as just perhaps one or a few tiny cells, now you are many. And over time, those cells will die off. And over time, the body will cease to be. You will not cease to be. From angelic perspective, the soul goes on. However, along the way, there are bumps and bruises and pains and emotional pains that will happen, right? So to try to avoid any sort of pain point is unnecessarily difficult. It's not going to happen. So instead, we would say when fear comes up, when fear is about pain or loss or eventual death, you could tell that fear, yep, that's definitely, some things are going to happen. That's how it works. I'm right now in this human shape, human identification, and that's what happens with humans. So yep, there'll definitely be along the way some of that. However, what do I love right now? What do I love that might be a contrast to that? So if you have fear about loss of work, for example, you could look around in that same topic area. Well, what do I love about those times when I don't have work? Time to sleep in, time with loved ones, time for creative projects, time to garden. And what do I love about my current work? So what are the reasons I don't want to lose work? Oh, these great friends, I'm valued, I'm contributing to the planet, and so on. So instead of padding the narrative of what you fear, understand, yep, some of that might happen. And I'd rather think about and put my creative heart space around, what do I love about this? And you can usually look right in the same topic. If you're afraid of some particular pain, of loss, then just lean into what you love about that person or that situation, and what do you love about that? And that will allow you to savor, even if there is this poignant sense, there might be loss. Well, eventually, yes, there will be loss. So that can enhance the sense of love and enjoyment of what you love. So time in this sense does not work against you. Time is a beautiful ingredient when you're looking at what you love, because if it was going to be there for a million years, maybe it's not as poignant, the love. There can be still that feeling of treasure. But there is a beautiful poignancy to things that are temporal, whether it's going to be 100 years or 1 year. That's still what we would say temporal, right? It's going to change. So if there are fears, there are many right now about global circumstance, one method we would suggest, rather than pretending, yeah, nothing will ever happen that might cause alarm, you could say, well, things do happen, and likely there'll be some sort of suffering or loss, and one day I will die, one day the people that I love will die. However, I don't think I want to really focus on that so much as others are focusing on that right now. I'd rather focus on, what do I love? And when you focus on what you love, and also the expression of love coming out from you to embrace this, you are beloved, this treasured friend or family member or humanity, again, small or wide, then you put yourself, even without taking any action, in a very active role of love coming through you into the world. And that is energetically a beautiful antidote as well. So when there are things that you fear, you may not have the crystal ball or the leadership potential, or somehow feel there's an action you can take to either resolve your fear or to do something about it, when you're talking about global nuance of global politics or something like this. So when you emanate love in the field, you're changing the music, the harmony for humankind. When you focus on the fear, you're amplifying that. So that action, focusing on love instead of fear, does change the result. So the vibratory state of the planet is changed by you. And that we would suggest is your strongest, most beautiful path forward here. Now, some of you do have action points you can take, so go ahead and make those. And we're speaking here more to that sense of fear of those things that you don't know how to predict. And the fear is likely coming from someone else, this information about what you might choose to fear right now, and not from what you know about the planet or you know about your life. So you don't have to pretend that there isn't risk. You don't have to pretend that there isn't going to be suffering or loss. But you can focus on love. Even just in a meditation, let's say you come out of a news story or a conversation and you feel a bit rattled, you can close your eyes and just quietly focus on the palpable emanation of love from your soul out into earth. However that takes, doesn't have to be visual, but you can imagine that in any sense. And that's your strongest tool. And it will shift you out of, personally, it will shift you out of fear, but it also will affect the result. So that we would say is something perhaps new to try, something strong that you can actively assist for humankind here. Okay. Beautiful. There was a question in the chat, but it looks like the angels, as they often do, addressed it. So if there are other questions, please go ahead and type in the chat. And if not, I'll carry on, see what the angels have to say. This is Raphael. We are going to keep the message brief here today because we don't want to get so much into specifics of what if this, what if that, because that's always the uncertainty as part of the beauty of the temporal life. And certainly you can, if you want to delve more into this, we've been speaking recently about savoring life, so there are meditations and recordings on that topic. However, we would suggest just as a little poignant message here that it is a temporal life, and that's part of the beauty of it. So don't be so concerned about suffering, about things that will change. Of course they will change. That's what you're here for. And the greatest effect you can do in times of fear that's coming from outside yourself, especially fear about some unknown thing that may or may not ever happen, is to feel your own love emanate from your soul outward. And that does change the harmonic, the frequency of the planet and for the people on it. And you can gather in groups to do this if you like. Positivity, love, quite helpful right now, because there are many people that need to physiologically need to calm down a bit in order to make clear decisions, in order to feel health. So fear is quite destructive, right? So what you can do about it is offer your love. The question, are the energies particularly strong today? Is this the equinox? And just add into that if there's anything the angels want to say about the equinox, which is coming up in a couple days, the fall equinox. This is Angel Raphael. It's a bit mixed, so we can't give an answer to that is the same everywhere on the globe. It's a mixed energy weather pattern right now. And for the equinox, we would say there are many ways to celebrate this or to focus on it, but in keeping with this message, we would say, isn't it beautiful? The seasons pivot, I pivot, there are different phases in my life. Change has been a wondrous thing. It's lovely to appreciate a new season, to appreciate that through change, marvelous things occur as well. So we'll end there, and thank you all for your love, your transmission of love out into the world. It is received.